I mean, like sometimes there's even issues like I guess I'll get into it. Like issues of like uh so like typically people born in the diaspora are called second generation, and those who came
Mhm.
in uh the first migrants, like our parents, would be considered like first generation. You, on the other hand, you're considered, some in certain terms, would be somewhere in the middle. So sometimes people would say you're like
Mhm.
a 1.5 generation because you've adapted in a way that's not like the first immigrants who came, right? Because you're kind of
Yeah.
like in the middle, almost like a hybrid. And sometimes like and I have to say, sometimes, because you're a hybrid, I'm really interested to see like your point of view. But like some
Yeah.
folks, like they would say like a lot of the folks born in diaspora, oh, they get this feeling like, oh, they don't work hard, they don't need to work hard, they're they don't even know our culture, they don't know,
Mhm.
like all this stuff, like they don't care, they don't work hard. But a lot of this,
Mhm.
like, they don't work hard stuff, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
anybody, like, when you're in the diaspora, you got to work your ass off to make a living, right?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
it's not like we're not working our ass off, but then there's this instant, because yeah, naturally those who are born in like, say, the United States, Canada, or England, yeah,
Mhm.
there is a certain privilege, I guess, that they're born with, right? That
Mhm.
we're born with, that, like, because we got the citizenship and stuff. And so a lot of folks, we've been thrown shade. So have you observed this, and you being in the middle of kind of
Mhm.
like coming in when you're a young teen, you're not quite
Mhm.
like the old folks, or like the first generation, you're not, and you have this, but you understand the second generation kind of
Mhm.
thing as well. So like,
Yeah.
when people are throwing shade that way, like, what's your perspective? I'm just curious.
I think I got lucky in the way that the family that I have around me are pretty progressive, and
Mhm.
they realize the in between, because
Mhm.
I think the in between that I am in right now is like I work, I work hard enough. I work smart, like I don't have to. I'm
Yeah.
not working 3 jobs. I'm not working 2 jobs. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm
Mhm.
working enough to survive and enjoy living and stuff like that. And the family that I have around me, they're not like saying that I should work more, or like saying that I should study like a certain, like we discussed earlier. But I do realize from like um other families, other children,
Mhm.
when they get said that, it's I think it's because their parents, when they first came, and
Mhm.
before they were born or whatever, I feel like it's because the parents made less before, and so they had to work more, right, to get
Mhm.
to where they are now. And some of these parents feel like their kids have to work just as hard, but they don't realize that they're already, you know what I mean, they're born in like
Yeah.
with resources, and like with the foundation to
Yeah.
not have to work just as hard. They don't realize that that's why they worked that hard, so that
Yeah.
their kids, don't have to work as much but still live well, you know.
Mhm.
And I think that's what they don't these some of these parents don't realize for these kids. And so sometimes the kids, feel some kids um realize this themselves, and like, live the way that they want anyway, and then some kids don't, and end up listening to their parents and end up working more than they probably should, and they're probably the rich ones. I don't know. They probably end up being
Yeah.
rich. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel that
Who knows?
sometimes it's definitely a class thing. Even amongst the Igorot people, we have a class strata
Mm.
that can
Mm.
be hard for some people to break out of.
Mhm.
And you could see it through
In terms of the
socioeconomic, you could see
mentality?
it through education. Yeah. There's a certain thing. Um, and like in terms of like socioeconomic status,
Mhm.
educational status. Um, those things play a huge difference
Mm-hmm.
in how people will see themselves. It's
Mm-hmm.
like how, I mean, we as people love titles. So if you saw Doctor something forever, even if they're like PhD, they're, if they're in that title, that's a title, and we love saying that. Even if we don't normally call people attorney something, but Filipinos kind of will.
Mm-hmm.
Like your father-in-law gets it all the time.
Yes,
It's attorney
attorney
Putan.
Stone, Richard Stone. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and obviously I get, father all the time. So and so there,
Yeah.
we do love that. That's part of our thing, but at the same time
Mm-hmm.
also it puts us definitely on certain hierarchies. Not that hierarchies aren't bad, it's part of the norm of human existence. I think we need it. It exists for a reason. But sometimes if we can't see ourselves being able to elevate ourselves on that hierarchy, then
Ah,
that m- that can limit, you know, our ability to live into our fullness.
which is why people probably like lean towards like, when they do get jealous and the crab mentality comes out,
No.
it's
Yeah.
they can't see themselves going, maybe like maybe they just can't see themselves moving up a different level. Or do I don't know, is that what you mean? Or
Well, yeah. It's hard to imagine yourself outside of what that might be or beyond what you think you are. You are what you think you are. I mean, that's essentially what it is. Um, so if you don't see that great potential in you, no matter what someone says, you just don't see it.
Hmm.
Doesn't exist. I mean, at least it's not attainable because I mean, you have to give yourself some love, and love is going to be a choice in all of that.
Mhm.
So if you're not willing to give yourself a little bit of love, oh boy, it's harder.